And we are back with another great episode of the Sick Podcast Steeler Crazy. And we were just talking off air with our next guest. Very excited to introduce him to Steeler Nation. As always, I am Jay York Football. Alongside of me, Mic'd Up Sports One. Man, and I could really tell I'm just a little more fluent now that I got some carbs in me. The energy's back up, and really going to bring the energy with this podcast and introduce this new Steeler to Steeler Nation. But yeah, weather has been crazy in Pittsburgh. There's people 5 to 7 days they're saying without power. It was only 30 seconds for me, so very grateful and glad that everyone's safe. But how's everything with you? You're yinsed out today, I see.
Yeah, everything's good. Shout out our guy Taylor hooking me up a lot with some clothing, so I don't have to go and drop some dimes at the mall. As always, is certainly helpful. But I'm excited, man. Let's go, South Dakota, stand up. It's gonna be a great show today. We're gonna start bringing on some new Pittsburgh Steelers who are certainly going to have a chance to make a big impact this training camp and an OTAs. So, man, I could not be more excited about that. This is always a great time of year for us and the team.
Yep, Sammy, you know what to do.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Steelers Crazy.
Aaron Smith shields. Flacco, Polamalu takes it home. Super Bowl 43. Pittsburgh might be bound for that thanks to number 43.
The sickest Pittsburgh Steelers podcast. Sports entertainment like no other. It's gonna be sick.
All right, from Colorado to South Dakota, all the way to the Berg, eventually. We're excited to welcome on our next guest, tight end, Swiss Army knife, versatile player, whatever you want to call him. I know he's ready to make an impact in the Berg. It is our guy, JJ Galbreth. JJ, what's going on, man?
How's it going? Thank you guys for having me. I love that intro.
No doubt. You win for background of the year. I know we were already talking about
Yeah. Screensaver there.
Looks like you're skydiving.
And then there's Denver right behind me as well.
Let's go.
Beautiful.
Now you're showing off. Absolutely fire, man. We're excited that you jumped on with us. I know we're excited for our fans to learn a little bit about you. I just want to start by tell us a little bit about your football journey. You know, hit us with like high school all the way up till now. What got you into it? You know, what positions have you played? And ultimately, how did this lead up to being a pro?
I mean, when I was super young, my dad, he played semi-pro football and a little bit of arena football. So I was introduced at a very young age, and it's kind of been a staple in my entire life. He never really had to push it on to me. I was always an active kid, and, you know, it was great getting on the field when I was young and hitting people without any repercussions. So that's kind of a little bit how I got into, you know, Little League and that side of things. Growing up, I just fell more and more in love with it. I played other sports, basketball, lacrosse, and, you know, with all of those as well, I just never felt the same energy and joy that I got from playing football. There was just something about it, you know, that kept me driven, and I just enjoyed it overall. So that was kind of like Little League and stuff. Going into high school, I knew that was going to be my main sport. My freshman year, obviously just a freshman team. Sophomore year, JV, and a little bit of varsity. And those 2 years I played tight end and outside linebacker. And then my junior year, you know, I was more of actually a defensive mindseted person at that time. And that was my focus, was defense. So when I first came into like my freshman year playing tight end, that was completely new to me.
Wow.
And so then, yeah, my junior year, I actually played corner and receiver. We didn't have any other corners, and, you know, they were just kind of like, we need to throw an athletic guy back there. So my junior year, I played corner. Not the best corner, but I mean, you know, able to still make plays and stuff like that. And then my senior year, it was a little bit of that tight end, receiver, and then outside linebacker.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't throw in quarterback and defensive lineman and that launch. Man, good for you. I mentioned Swiss Army knife. I don't think anybody maybe knew that in depth.
And yeah, going into my college career, initially, I only had a D1 offer from USD.
Yeah.
I had a few other PWOs, but through that process, just the communication that I had with the coaches, the atmosphere when I went there to visit, just felt like home. It felt right, and that was my final decision. And I was actually, while I was being recruited, I was recruited as an outside linebacker, and then someone else took that spot, and then they offered me at tight end. So I still felt comfortable with that decision at that point in time. And I mean, it obviously worked out super well. I wouldn't change anything. And, my career at South Dakota, it was obviously I was a 2020 graduating class out of high school. So that first year of college, super weird year of that COVID year going on. There was so much just up in the air, not knowing if you're going to play. So we never actually had a season in the fall. We tried to do games in the spring, and I believe we had 3 or 4, and then just dropped out because teams were getting COVID, and it just wasn't like safe for the players at that point in time. So then my first true year playing was my sophomore year, and that was more so just special teams. And then I got in the mix once or twice on offense. Um, Actually, there was only one package that we had that year, and I think I had like 2 or 3 receptions and 2 touchdowns. So pretty funny from that side of things. And then, going into my junior and senior year, those were big pickup years for me. We had only one other older guy, and he was, battling a few injuries here and there. So my junior year was when I really had to step up and started getting into the mix a lot more. And then that was also kind of, I guess that wasn't, yeah, that year was kind of my breakout year a little bit. And then my last season, it was great. I got injured, but was able to come back for the last 2 games. And, with that program, we made history twice, going farther in the playoffs than any other team ever has. So it was a cool atmosphere. That community was small, tight knit, great making those connections with other student athletes, other just locals of the town of Vermilion. And it was a great experience, and I wouldn't have changed anything about it.
That's bad, man. So let's fast forward a little bit. I know I read a lot about this pro day. You really popped off. Ran a fast 40, I think in the 4.6s, 38-inch vert. I'm sure, obviously, that generated a lot of interest. Not that it wasn't there already, but certainly probably heightened it. Just fast forward, man. You get the call or from Steelers. You get the the invitation, and you're going to be signed. What's the reaction?
It was so surreal. It still is. It keeps hitting me in waves. That it's been my dream to make it to that next level for my entire life. And I mean, it's a little bit emotional. It's happy. There's just so many emotions that go on. And after that call, again, it was just surreal, I would say. It was great to be with my family at that point in time. There was a few tears, but obviously happy tears, a bunch of smiles, and it was just great vibes all around.
Love that. Go ahead, JY.
So you kind of talked about your, college career. I mean, everything. It's great hearing. But just because this is a Pittsburgh Steeler podcast, you're a Pittsburgh Steeler now. Give us a scouting report on what you're bringing to the Pittsburgh Steelers organization.
Kind of like you guys said, a little bit of the Swiss Army knife. I feel like I can be that hybrid that can get into the mix of blocking, perimeter blocking, catching. Right now, the tight end roster, they're bigger guys, and I feel like I'm more on the lighter end compared to some of those guys. But I feel like it's nice to come in and have that versatility. I'm going to have great guys to look up to learn from, who have great experience, and really just excited to get in the room with them, take away their knowledge, be able to pick their brains, and keep developing myself. I mean, this is just the start. And coming from high school to college, you develop so much through your career there, and you have to just continue that development as time goes on. So I truly feel like I could add a great addition to the offense, with multiple tight end sets, being able to move around shifts, formations, all that kind of stuff. So I'm just excited to get into camp and really see how that's going to look. Because the offense at South Dakota the last 2 years, I was lining up in all those formations: 1, 2, 3 receiver, on the ball, off the ball, in the backfield a little bit. So I mean, it was a big switch from our original offense when I first got there. But I think it's the best case scenario for the offense that I'm coming into, because again, having that versatility and being able to line up in all those formations can be a huge game changer. So I'm just hoping that I can get in there and have high expectations for myself, and just see what happens through this process.
Yeah. So you did talk about, you were hurt a lot last season. You feel you're 100% healthy now?
Yeah, that was the only true injury that I had in my entire college career, and it was one
Good.
that was very, very rare. With the doctors,
Yeah.
when I got hurt, they were like, "We've honestly never seen this type of injury before. That's
Wow.
just the luck of the draw." But outside of that, everything else had always been healthy. Knock on wood.
I just
But
knocked on wood too. No worries. There you go, Mike. So before I throw it back over to Mike, and that's great to hear that you're healthy. How familiar are you with Pittsburgh? Have you played there in college? Have you ever visited? Do you know anything about Pittsburgh?
uh, not too much, in all honesty. I went to Pennsylvania one time, and I think I was maybe a freshman in high school, but I was on the eastern part of the state, and I was only there for probably half day, maybe a full day. So I don't truly know a lot about the city. I mean, I've heard great things. A lot of friends and family have hit me up and just told me about cool things to do there,
Yeah.
and just how cool of a city it is. So I'm really excited to get in the mix there and, experience all of that.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you'll fit right in with your work ethic. It's definitely a blue collar town. People just put their head down and get to work, and it sounds like that's what you're ready to do for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So we're excited, Mike.
Man, people are going to talk about French fries on your sandwiches, which is obviously very popular. You probably already heard that. But I always like to throw out like the Polish food scene, which is fantastic. I'm not sure if you're a fan of like kielbasa, sausages with sauerkraut, peppers on them,
Yep.
pierogi. That's what you have to vibe with a little bit more in Pittsburgh. In my opinion, the fries on the sandwich gets a little overrated. Don't say that in public or in any other interview. Coming from me, that might not be a great start with the city, but make sure you down some of that big Polish community in the Berg, and you'll certainly enjoy that. I always like to ask this question to folks who are going to be at OTAs and in training camp. Is there anybody on the roster, when you look, it sounds like you've already obviously done some research or just watching games, you're a big football fan. Anybody on the Steelers roster that you're like, holy crap, this is pretty badass. I get to share a locker room with this guy or field with this guy for a little bit.
I mean, most definitely. There's QB Ohio State, Will Howard. I'm excited to get with him. George Pickens, DK Metcalf. I mean, those are all just big names. Even Pat Fryermuth. Excited to get in the building with him, and kind of like I was saying before, being able to hopefully develop a relationship and pick his brain. I mean, it's funny also being in the same position group, because you guys are competing for each other's spots.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, he hit me up on Instagram. When I posted that I was signed with the Steelers, and
Pat,
I mean that was pretty cool. Just to have a veteran who's going to be in my room, who I'm going to have to look up to and learn from, hitting me up in that sense. So that was super cool, and just the opportunity to also get to play with all these rookies. I mean, it's always cool, just like team atmospheres, where guys are from, whether whatever the level that's from. I feel like you can always compete and just learn from other people as well.
You're talking about Pat Frymouth is the one that hit you
Yeah,
up?
yeah.
That's really cool.
That's
We've had him on
awesome.
the show. He is a great dude. And so, I mean, you already know that, but that's going to be really, really cool to work with him. Is there an NFL player that like you've looked up to your whole life, or maybe try to model your game after a little bit?
Growing up being from Denver, I was actually a huge Von Miller fan and
Wow.
Demarius Thomas.
R.I.P.
And then for real, and actually he jumped in my lap at a Broncos game one time.
No
So that
way.
Wow.
was an experience I'll never forget. But more like recent years, you got the Sam Laportas, Kittle, Kelsey, Gronk. I mean, those are all more position based, and a lot of those guys are bigger guys. The Gronk and the Kelsey are bigger guys with bigger frames. I feel like more my play style is a little bit more Laporta and Kittle. So definitely watched film on them, and just to see what they're doing good, how they grind through blocks and all that kind of stuff. So I'm most definitely excited. Again, and just to be able to come into the atmosphere and work with other tight end athletes, and get to know them, and hopefully just broaden that knowledge overall.
No doubt. And Demarius Thomas, he broke a lot of Steelers fans' hearts. He and Tim Tebow and that
Him and Tim Tebow, yep.
wild card game that we'll never forget, because that was one of the teams we thought had a chance to make a run. The Bell, Brown, Big Ben days. So I'm sure everybody in Pittsburgh and Denver, of course, remember that. Maybe not too fondly. Jordan, go ahead.
Yeah. Before we get you out of here, just had a few more. Did Mike? Have you had a chance to talk to Mike Tomlin yet? And if so, either way, what are your thoughts on him as a coach?
I have not gotten the chance to talk to him personally, but I mean, as a coach, he has a great reputation. Never had a losing season and stuff like that, and not just him, but the Steelers program as a whole. Is a great program to come into. Like you said, blue collar guys who are going to put their head down and get to work. And big names that have all come from there as well. So I'm just excited to get to experience that, and hopefully take away a lot and learn a lot about just myself as well through that process.
That's
Love
great.
that.
So what is it like right now, leading up until you come to Pittsburgh? Like, is it just like work out, take it easy, spend time with the family, friends, kind of just like downtime, kind of just decompressing? Like, what's life like? I'm sure it's been a whirlwind, like you said. I'm sure, everyone left and right is congratulating you for signing with the professional football team. That's a feat in itself. But like, kind of like, where's your mindset out now? And like, what's your day-to-day routine like leading up till you depart to Pittsburgh?
I mean, talking with family. Can you guys still hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Talking with family, they're like, obviously, this is a huge accomplishment, but now is the time that I'm going to have to work harder than ever.
Yeah.
So just coming into it with like that kind of mindset. And I'm sorry, can you repeat that last part one more time? Of the
Just like what's
question?
your day-to-day routine? Like just gym, like is there a workout regimen you're following? I know when you get the Steelers facility, I'm sure you'll get the booklet and get the playbook and all that stuff. But like right now, like leading up to it, what's your day-to-day routine? Like I always find that cool, kind of to just knack the brain of someone who's, about to be a Pittsburgh Steeler.
Yeah, so there's a training facility in Centennial, Colorado, that I've been going to, which is right by the Broncos facility. And Lauren Landau, the guy who made the facility, used to be actually a trainer for the Broncos. So I've been going there. I was gone for a few days during the draft, but I trained there before that, and then I'll train there in the mornings until I have to leave. And I mean, that's a cool experience as well. Having that
Yeah.
connection with the Broncos from like Landau, there's Peyton Manning, he's in there almost every morning. Justin Simmons, Noah Fant, big name guys in the league who have been super successful, and cool to interact with them as well. And just to see the type of people that they are. You know, they're not hot-headed. They're super down to earth, have meaningful conversations. So it's cool from that standpoint as well. But yeah, just training mostly, trying to maybe get in the books a little bit and just learn more about the Steelers just program overall. So I'm prepared the best I can be when I get there. And mostly just also spending time with family and friends.
I like that's the most important thing at the end of the day. And I'm sure they're all proud of you, and we're excited to see what you can do on the field. Great stuff all around. Before we get you out of here, I always like to ask if anything you want to say to Steeler Nation. I know you kind of told us what they're getting with you as a player, but any last words before we send you on your way?
I mean, so far, since I announced my signing with them, I've gotten a big following from the fan base, so I appreciate that to all. I'm excited to come to Pittsburgh and get to work, and I appreciate all those who have reached out and continue to do so. And let's go Steel City.
Let's go.
All right, JJ. Well, hey, go enjoy yourself. Again, that background, man, I'm jealous right now because I'm looking at dark clouds. And but yeah, keep doing what you're doing. We can't wait to see you on the field. Best of luck, man.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys so much for taking the time and having me on the show.
We appreciate it, man.
We're grateful for you.
Can't wait.
Thank you.
Cool stuff, man. I always like to point out all of the guys we've had on these shows over the years, including somebody like Jaylen Warren. Where did he go in the draft? He didn't, right? So there are always so many stories about players, obviously, who are late round picks who have developed into impact players for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You just never know. And with that work ethic, with that versatility, the speed, and the athletic background, that's somebody in preseason, man, who it's going to be fun to watch when he gets on the field and gets some targets, because he definitely is a mismatch nightmare. So very happy he was able to hang out with us for a little bit, for sure.
Yeah, and these guys, a lot of these guys, I would say 99%, they're just high character dudes. So no matter where they go in life, they're going to make an impact. And that's always, at the end of the day, what's the most important, what they do in the community, not just on the football field. So great stuff all around. We have some guys coming on next week as well, some rookie mini camp guys. Love hearing their stories. And I think that's the whole, just leading up to this and getting to this level and having a chance to compete is just, it's amazing. So excited to keep doing it. I hope everyone has a great weekend. Make sure you subscribe to the Sick Podcast, Steeler Crazy. And I am Jay York Football, Mic'd Up Sports One. Stay safe if you're in Pittsburgh. 50 to 60 mile per hour winds they're calling for. And we already see what it did in a short period of time. So stay safe out there and stay crazy. Sammy, take it away.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Steelers Crazy on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.